I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Vietnam Veterans News Podcast. News of interest about Vietnam veterans from a Vietnam veteran. Now, here's your host, Mac Payne.
This is Mac Payne here with episode 1785 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. News about the Vietnam War and the brave veterans who served there, as told to you by yours truly, a Vietnam veteran. This episode was created on July the 4th, 2020. It's an exciting day. 4th of July is always exciting, especially if you like barbecue outdoors and if you like fireworks. It's a great day. It also celebrates the fact that we are privileged to live in this great country. On this day, I have a few words here I'd like you to think about. They come from the late, great Charles Krauthammer, who was also a great American. Charles said this about this country: "The United States of America was the greatest and most miraculous endeavor mankind had ever undertaken in its long quest to get politics right. America is founded on an idea, and the idea is liberty. This is probably the rarest phenomenon in the political history of the world." I think we should all sit back and think about those words. They're very important. Sometimes when I tell this to people, they come back and they say, "Oh, there's other countries over in Europe and other places that have liberty, like maybe Belgium and Norway." That may be so, but I think America has done it better. We've proven that over the years. There are a few septic tank divers out there who like to point out some shortcomings of this great country, but overall, the good things greatly outweigh the bad things. So just try and remember what Charles Krauthammer said, and let that be a guide for you when you're thinking about this country and doing things to support it. I think they're so important. I'm going to read them to you one more time, and then I'm going to get on to the big news of the day. Again, remember these words, written by the late, great Charles Krauthammer. "The United States of America was the greatest and most miraculous endeavor mankind had ever undertaken in its long quest to get politics right. America is founded on an idea, and the idea is liberty. Every person on earth wants liberty. This is probably the rarest phenomenon in the political history of the world." I think it's very important for us to remember things like that on July the 4th. There's something else happening today on this July the 4th that I believe is very special. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, I have been making an offer to all the listeners on this podcast to give away one tremendous legacy staff from the Brazos Walking Stick Company out in Waco, Texas. I'm going to give one legacy staff to one selected Vietnam veteran from each of the 4 major services in Vietnam. That's Army, Navy, Air Force, and the Marines. The response to this promotion has been overwhelming to me. The idea of this promotion program was to ask veterans who would like to receive one of these legacy staffs to send me their name, their branch, their rank, and what they did in Vietnam and when they were there. I am not an emotional person. I don't cry at weddings and don't hardly cry at anything else. After reading the responses from the veterans who decided to participate in this promotion, it's overwhelming. It was tough because some of my friends I knew in Vietnam put their name into the hat, and I wanted them to win, but we had a drawing. I had 2 lovely young ladies, 2 of my granddaughters, Hannah and Grace, draw names out of the hat. Unfortunately, my friends didn't win, but it was a wonderful thing. I received all sorts of heartwarming messages from veterans across the array of services in Vietnam and jobs that were done. I got one response from a Marine Vietnam veteran who was hit, unfortunately, in the head with an AK-47 bullet. He lived, but he was blind as a result of it. And what he did was amazing. He didn't go away and pout the rest of his life. He came home, went through some rehabilitation, went to college. Not only did he get a bachelor's degree, but he got a master's degree, and he became a counselor for the VA. He's been doing that for a career. After talking to him, even though he was blind, I could tell he was an excellent counselor. Then I heard from another Vietnam veteran by the name of Jerry Valdivia. He just happened to be in the same unit I was in over there in Vietnam. He left about a month before I got there. It's like I knew the guy. We were in the same unit. It was very interesting to hear about all the different type jobs all these veterans had over there. I wish I had enough of these sticks to give one to everybody, but I'm limited to 4. I'm going to read the names that were selected by Hannah and Grace, one from each of the services, so that you know who they are. These 4 individuals are going to have the opportunity to select whatever type of a staff or a walking stick they want. There's a wide selection of colors, designs, and options for lettering that can go on these sticks and these staffs. It's going to be exciting. Again, I wish I had enough to give a staff to everybody, but I'm only limited to 4, and if I could have a drum roll, here are the winners. First, from the Navy, is Gregory Newman. Gregory was an E-4 Petty Officer, 3rd class in the U.S. Navy over there. This is what he said. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I'm disabled. I served in the Navy from 1967 to 1961, 17 months in Vietnam, 5 on an aircraft carrier in the Tonkin Gulf, and 12 months on shores and rivers. He was exposed to Agent Orange. He is 100% disabled from the results of the illnesses he received from that exposure to Agent Orange. He ends by saying this, I am not angry about my service. I love our country and am proud to have served it. Signed, Greg Newman. Greg, thank you. I'm so happy you are going to be awarded one of these legacy sticks. Next is the U.S. Marines. The winner there is Mike Pickard. He was in the U.S. Marines at Dong Ha in 1969 and 1970. Today he lives up there on the beautiful coast of North Carolina. I'm sure he can use this legacy staff to go on some walks around the beach up there. Next winner is from the U.S. Army, and that is John Bruno. He was a Spec 5 in the U.S. Army, was over there from July of 67 to July of 68. He had sort of a very interesting job. He was a Morse intercept operator. He probably was assigned to one of those intel units over there. Last but not least is the Air Force Vietnam veteran who is going to receive a legacy staff. That is Stephen Willarding. He was with the U.S. Air Force at Benoit from 1970 to 1971. I'm sure wherever he is today, he's going to enjoy walking around with this staff with pride. I can say that because ever since I've got my legacy staff, it does something strange to you. It makes you feel good, just like it says in the Bible. Even though I walk through the valley of death, your rod and your staff comfort me. That's exactly what legacy staffs do. They comfort you. They also make good sticks if you run into some wild animals or some maybe protesters. You can do them some harm with one of these legacy staffs, but I don't advise that. I recommend you just use it for what it is, as a staff to walk around with. They are shortly going to be receiving their staffs shipped to them after they're personalized for each one of these veterans, shipped to them directly from Waco, Texas. This has been a wonderful experience for me, and I hope these 4 individuals who receive these legacy staffs will also consider it a wonderful experience. With that, I wish everyone here a happy 4th of July. Hope you enjoy the day. This is Mac Payne closing out episode 1785 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. Thank you so much for coming to listen to these stories. You are cordially invited to return again soon and often to listen to more that will be coming your way on this podcast, the Vietnam Veteran News.
How about that? Ain't that a mess?